In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can dramatically reduce the amount of time it takes for you to make your low content and no content books for self-publishing on Amazon KDP. Hello, my name is Ben McQueenie, and if you haven't been to this channel before, I make videos on how you can make a great passive income self-publishing low content and no content books on Amazon KDP. And if that sounds like something you like the sound of, then please subscribe to my channel, leave me a like and hit that notification bell. Now, when you're making a low content book for publishing on Amazon KDP, there's a number of things that you need to do. You need to find a niche, you need to get the keywords, you need to write the description, you need to find the categories, you need to make the interior, you need to make the book cover. And all of that takes quite a while to do it well. And the purpose of this video is to show you some shortcuts that you can take to make these books, but also keep the quality high, but reduce the time. So let's bring up my screen and have a look. So I've created this little table here, and this is so you can compare between making everything yourself and doing everything yourself, and getting help and using programs and things like that, and you can kind of weigh up the advantages. So stages in making a low content book. So number one, obviously we've got to go and find a niche that's going to potentially make you some sales. That's the first thing that you're going to want to do. And so the next one, after you do that, you'd need to gather your metadata. So that's your kind of keywords, potentially your categories, and making sure that they've got a high number of searches and relatively low competition. So you want to make sure you can either do that manually or you can use a program to do that. Okay, the next one is creating your interior then. So your interior can be relatively straightforward and be made relatively quickly, or it could be done by someone else. You could employ someone else to do it potentially. And so the next one then is obviously putting together your cover. Okay, now if you have got a creative eye, you could make them yourself, or again you could potentially go to someone else and who could make it for you, who may be a designer and be able to put these things together a little bit better than you. Okay, the next one is obviously publishing to KDP. You've got your own KDP account, so that's, I think, something that you should always do, and it's as simple as that, really. The next is the A+ content. Now the A+ content is the kind of how to make your Amazon sales page really great, by adding pictures and graphics and stuff like that. So you can either do that yourself or get someone to do it for you. And the next one is then searching to find extra categories which you can then add into your book. You can do this kind of yourself, or you can use a program to help you do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is have a look at the average time that each one of these stages takes to kind of do it manually, or yourself. But then the difference between the time it will take to do it using tools, or getting someone else to do it, and then the cost of those two. Okay, so we're going to have a nice comparison of each particular stage. Then we'll add them up at the end. Okay, so the first one, niche selection. So this is going to take around 2 or 3 hours for you to have a look by trawling through Amazon and finding those low competition niches that are selling really well. Sometimes it can even take longer, but the main thing is sometimes it can actually be quite frustrating to find one that's good. But it doesn't cost you anything. So there's the advantage. It doesn't cost you anything, but it could take you a lot of time to do. Whereas if you got Book Bolt, then you can find a niche in, I've put an hour here, but I could probably find you a niche on Book Bolt in 5 minutes. And the cost of that is it's $10 a month, okay? But if you use my promo code and click the link below, you will get 20% off. For some reason, I put Ben 10 because of the character. but it's actually for 20% off, so it doesn't really work, does it? So there we go. I think Ben 20 works as well, but use Ben 10 because that rhymes. Anyway, so the next one is gathering the metadata. So this is all about the keywords that people are actually going to be typing in to Amazon to hopefully find your book. Okay, now this thing, this can take a long time as well, especially if you're doing it manually. So you kind of have to go through and find what words have got low competition. You can't really tell how many searches there is per month on there, but you can with Publisher Rocket, which is incredibly powerful because you just pick the words that have got a lot of searches, don't you? Now, it's one-off if you wanted to buy that of $97. I bought mine in 2018 or 2019 and I still use it now. You pay it one time, and then, if this was over 12 months, it would only cost you $8 a month, which is pretty much the same as BookBolt. So I think that is a good investment, especially if you want to make low content publishing a serious side hustle for yourself or a full-time income. Okay, so creating the interior then, 4 to 6 hours. Now, if it was a simple notebook, that's probably going to be a lot less. But nowadays, you need to put a little bit more flair into them, don't you? So you need to put, graphics, make it really cool and stuff like that. So that's going to take a while to do. But hey, what about this? If you use a freelancer on Fiverr, it's going to take you no time to do it. Because, it might take a few days for them to do it, but it's not taking any of your time. And the time that you've got there, you could be doing other things like researching other niches and things like that. But what I put here is the general cost is between $15 and $30 to make an interior for a good one. I'm not talking about like kind of a cheap one, but you can kind of get them a really good ones for $15 to $30. And it's the same with a cover. So a cover, I'll put the cover 2 to 3 hours if you were doing it yourself. If you've got creative flair, you'd have to go and find your elements and things like that, your fonts, and build it, and it'd cost you nothing. On Fiverr then, in terms of time, if you employed someone to do it, again, it would take you none of your time, and again, that could be $15 to $13 as well, right? Okay, but again, you're not having to put the thought into it and things like that. Okay, so stage 5 is actually publishing to KDP. Now, I think it takes roughly about 20 minutes, I think, but I've put 1 hour for the sake of it. You might be new or something like that, but it's relatively straightforward, and that's the same both sides. So that's always going to be like consistent with doing this in this process. Okay, so the next thing then is the absolute chew of my life is creating A+ content. Right now, I've put 2 to 3 hours for this. Right, but this is like the mock-ups of pictures of the book. You've got to put more kind of copy on there. Advantages of the book, people holding the book and stuff like that. Now, this is the cool thing with using freelancers and Fiverr is that the A+ content is usually included in the price of either the cover or the interior or in a package, and I'll show you some of these in a second. So that'll save you a load of time there if you are actually buying it through Fiverr. Okay, so the additional browse categories. Now, I've actually did a video a few videos back on how to find these browse categories. Now, put 3 to 4 hours. Now, that can actually take half an hour if you're just going to do the first book. But what you generally got to do is you've got to kind of go through, do 10, 20 books, and then find the best categories that you think are relevant to your book that way. Again, it's kind of zero cost, but with Publisher Rocket, not only will it only take you an hour to do, but you'll actually see how many sales it'll take to get you that number 1 spot bestseller rank, which is incredibly powerful. And if you've already bought Publisher Rocket from above when we're collecting the keywords, that'll cost you nothing. So that's another really great advantage of Publisher Rocket. Okay, so let's just add all these up, shall we? So I think if you're going to do everything manually yourself, and this is for a good book, this isn't just for a notebook with a basic cover, this is for a really high quality, low content book, I reckon you're looking anywhere between 17 and 24 hours to make, but the cost will be nothing, right? So you've got to think, that's 24 hours of your time to make the one book, okay, right? But in comparison, for that same quality book, yeah, done by a professional designer for the cover, yeah, which is going to be your shop window, that could take 4 hours max, but it would cost you in the region of $46 to $76 when we've added all those up together. That's minus obviously the Publisher Rocket, we should have to pay one off. But once you've got the Publisher Rocket, then it's costing you no more going forward. Just like with the Book Bolt, that's costing you no more if you're already doing it on a monthly basis anyway. So I think from the main thing here is that for that same time, for doing one book by yourself for free, you could actually do 5 books the other side. Okay, so it's kind of like a 5-to-1 ratio in terms of output. Yeah, and what we want to do is you want to have lots of books. Yeah, the more books you've got, the more earning potential you've got, haven't you? Okay, so the point that I'm making here is the Book Bolt and Publisher Rocket. Yeah, it's going to cost, but once you've bought them, you've kind of bought them. Yeah, and then each new book that you do, and you're only paying for the new cover and the new interior, which again would be $30 to $40 or whatever, 30, 40, yeah. And I'm going to show you some examples on Fiverr in a second. Okay, so it's literally just, it comes down to that. So the main question you've got to ask yourself is this: is, you know, what's more important? Is it your time, or you know, the low investment it would take to get a freelancer to do your cover and your interior? Yeah, so you saw like time or initial investment. It's up to you. One route is quicker, and one route is obviously less costly. So it's entirely up to you. Okay, so if we just go and have a look here. So when I'm talking about Book Bolt, so this is where I always find my niches. This is the best place to find your niches, I think. Yeah, and you know, it costs, you know, for a newbie $9.99 or, you know, $9.99. And, you know, if you use my promo code, you can get that for $8 a month, which is a fantastic product research tool. It does do things like keywords and things like that, but from my point of view, I always think it's better for niches, really. But it can also, you know, you can design your actual interiors and your covers on there as well if you are doing it yourself. Okay, so let's have a look at Publisher Rocket. So this is my absolute go-to tool for pretty much everything that I do with my publishing. It's great for keywords. I can spy on the competition. The category tool where you find all the categories is brilliant, and it also can give you words that you can use for Amazon ads as well if you wanted to do that. And that's a one-off purchase of $97. Okay, but then you've got it for life. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go over to Fiverr then, and let's have a look at these freelancers. Right, so let's just type in a particular phrase: low content book cover. Okay. Now, as you'll expect, there's lots of different freelancers offering these kind of services, yeah. And, you know, what I would really sort of say to you guys is go and have a look about, yeah. I'm just going to show you the first few that pop up here, but the first few that pop up are usually the ones that have got great reviews and things like that. But I think it's important to have a look at people's star ratings and look at what people are actually saying in terms of reviews, how easy they were to work with and stuff like that. And you can actually, you know, if you send people messages, they'll, you know, see how they are talking and responding and stuff like that. But look at this one here. This is only it's £12.71 for me, but for you guys it's probably $15, yeah. But look at all this. You know, this is a book pack, which is a cover, an interior, and A+ content. Now, and look at that outstanding job people have put on there. Look at that. That's fantastic. So look, you could actually just potentially get this guy to do the whole thing. Look, he's even going to do your keywords. Now, here's the thing. I would be careful with that, because if someone's only working for $15, let's think about this practically. If someone's working for $15 for a book cover, a book interior, the keywords, and the A+ content, I think they're going to take a shortcut on the keywords. So that's just my opinion on the matter, and I'm sticking to it. So I would always 100% do your own keywords, because that's where you're going to be found, okay? And, you know, if they're working for $15 to do all this, you've got to kind of think to yourself, well, where they're going to speed up their processes, and that's going to be one of the places where they're going to look at that. $10 for £10. That's insane for the premium package there. So there's a few things that you need to kind of be aware with the freelancers on Fiverr. The first thing is that the stuff that they're making, the book that they're making you, it needs to be completely unique. Yeah, so they can't have sold it to someone else the same thing. Yeah, so you have to make sure that you ask that question and that you feel assured that they are doing that. Okay, and the next thing is you want to make sure that if they're using any images or any fonts, that it's it has a commercial license. They have your commercial license to do that. Okay. And the next thing is, going back to that same point that I was saying, is that yes, they can provide you with the keywords and stuff like that, but you could use it as a basis to do your own research. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't just rely on them. Okay, so look, he's another great one. You know what I mean? This is a colouring book. There's one covered also. This is just the cover. Okay, for $15. Okay, and you can kind of see the kind of covers that they're doing. They're generally okay. That's not very good, that one, but that one's very good. Yeah, I like that one. Again, and they've got different revisions and things. And look there, commercial use he's written there. But look, he's also adding mock-ups, so you could use those mock-ups for your A+ content, couldn't you? Yeah, and you could read about the gig and these sorts of things. And look, he's the sort of niches that he does, or they do, or whoever this is. But if you just go kind of through this, you can kind of pick the ones that you like the look of. And, you can kind of save them into your favourites. And then I was always, rather than just buy a gig, I'd always speak to them and sort of see if they kind of are saying the correct things that you want to hear from them. Do you know what I mean? But as you can see, a lot of these kind of prices are a lot lower than I've just quoted in my comparison table. And so what I would do is, the ones that I've used in the past are kind of the rate that I've put here, and that's because they have produced me some excellent work that have sold really well. Okay, so be wary for cheap services, basically. Okay, so when using freelancers, let's just summarize this here, just so you're absolutely sure. Yeah, so make sure that they use unique. That what you're getting, if it's a cover, that it's unique, yeah. So that it hasn't been published on KDP before, because you don't want a KDP strike. Okay, that it's got full commercial use, and that the key, if there's keywords supplied, I would, really check them to make sure that they're right for your book and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's it then. So that's my comparison there. So you've got to really ask yourself, what's worth more, your time, or your money? That's going to be the thumbnail. What's worth more, your time or your money? Yeah, but you can actually turn out more books if you use this kind of freelancer method, but it costs you. So as you can see, it is quite easy to bring the time down of how long it takes to make these low content books for publishing on Amazon KDP, using a few tools and outsourcing some of the design elements like the cover and the interior. If you found this video useful, please give it a like, don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you. Now, if you have a look at this video, I think that you may be interested in this as well. So go and check it out. And until next time, bye.